everybody. I'm Kelly Ellers,
I'm Jeffrey Lunnan.
and this is Volume Up by the Tees. Here we are, another week.
We're doing the damn thing. Kind of sad stuff, though. So last week we talked
Yeah.
about two hairstylists, obviously Graham Nation and Jesus Guerrero, passing away, and how this has shocked so much of the salon professional industry. Right when we're like over the hump, then Roberta Flack dies, hair icon, singer icon, and then Michelle Trachtenberg, Harriet the Spy. Yeah, we're not gonna keep it heavy, but we're let down by what's sort of happening. As a millennial, though, I mean, elder millennial to
I was
regular
just
millennial
told, hold
on the cusp?
on.
Oh,
I was told this week that I am, quote, not a millennial mom. So there's
but I
that.
feel like you're a cusper. We've talked about this. You're like Gen X,
I am a
but
cusper.
younger. You're
Mhm.
probably too young to be Gen X, but
I am. I'm on the
yeah,
scraping the
yeah,
surface. And
scraping. I
depending
feel
on
like
which demographic site you're looking at,
yes.
I could be indeed a millennial mom.
I feel like you're more millennial mom than anything else. Do you have any recollection of seeing Michelle Trachtenberg over the years? Because I feel like there's different eras. Again,
No,
Harriet the
I
Spy,
don't.
Buffy. No,
That's
okay,
that's the
okay.
problem. So now I just bought myself right out of that category.
A cusper, like a true cusper. Yeah, the Gossip Girl of it all. I forgot that she was on that show. Gossip Girl really
Yeah,
did have a moment, and I just
for
blocked all
sure.
of that out. So our digital senior digital producer is telling us about Ice Princess, which I think I was too old for that.
I missed
That's
it.
about the time that she was on
Hmm.
Buffy, which I didn't love her when she was anyway. But R.I.P. R.I.P. We're being
Oh,
encouraged to watch that one for some nostalgia.
indeed.
Let's get into our celebrity photo rating.
All
Obviously
right.
specific to hair. We're not being unkind or uncharitable towards looks. It's not about that. It's mostly about appreciating or not appreciating the
Hmm.
hairstyles that they're bringing to the table. First up, Jordan Childs. What's again 1 to 10? Where are we landing?
I'm gonna give it pretty basic. I don't know. I think we could have done something a little more exciting. Yes.
I feel like
So
she's known for like better styles.
yeah. I've never been a fan of slicked back hair and tendrils just
Yeah.
hanging. And that's what we're
So
seeing. A heavy bang, a
thank
couple
you.
tendrils. It's slicked back into a big sort of voluminous curly ponytail.
Yeah,
Eh,
it makes her face look really small, which I don't think you want as a petite lady, I would imagine. There's a lot of stuff going on. I'm like middle of the road, like
all
middle to
right.
lower, like 5, 4, 3 in that area. Don't love this look, love her. Who do we got next?
Next up, we've got Kiki.
It's your girl, Kiki Palmer. Oh my God. Yes, I'm obsessed with Kiki. Kiki fucking
I was
Palmer.
not ready for that
Are
level
you
of
familiar with
excitement.
her? It's your
No,
girl.
I'm
That's like,
not.
that's her
No,
thing.
that's
Oh my
why I
God.
was
Yeah, sorry.
bursting with excitement because that was epic. That was a moment. You actually startled me.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We're all running on fumes. Sorry, but yeah, Kiki, describe this look if you
I
could,
think this
Kelly.
is fantastic. The color is what your girl would want. I tried to weave that back in and it
You
didn't
I'll just
hit.
send you clips
It
where
didn't
she
hit.
like the super clip of her being like, "It's your girl, Kiki Palmer." Like it's so good. I Kiki Palmer, national treasure. But
Ooh,
but okay,
it's
back to the
good.
hair. What
All right,
what
it's
do
a
we got going on?
beautiful, beautiful sort of strawberry blondish red.
Coppery.
Oh, it's parted beautifully. It's a gorgeous look. Absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely 10, 10, 10. I
I'm
love it.
loving this color on her. I think especially she's been rocking it for a minute. She's been working with, I think Kia Dior is the
Okay.
hairstylist that's making these units. Color is gorgeous. So I love this is like a 10, honestly. Like she looks
Yeah.
incredible. Kiki
It could
fucking
not
killed
get
it.
better.
No,
Could not
it
get
really
better.
couldn't. So we'll dump these pictures somewhere so you can see them all. And if you disagree, then you're wrong. There's just that.
Just straight wrong.
Straight up. Aisha D is next on our list. She's at the SAG Awards, which just took place at the time of this recording. What do you think about this look? What if you could again describe it for us? What do we got?
Okay, so we've got a lot of texture. We've got sort of
Mhm,
a top part smooth, and the texture sort of starts at her temples, and it's
mhm,
very voluminous and
mhm.
beautiful. And I think it's great. I love the natural texture.
I'm
You?
obsessed with this look. I think like this is another like 10 for me.
It's a 10.
It's so good. The texture obviously incredible, very like statement making, but I like the little pins and then it really accentuates the dress, which also has this like sparkly element. Like I think when the hair comes together, but it doesn't feel too forced, that's what I'm all about.
Right.
And
Right.
they've done that.
I love it. I give it a 10 too. We're having a good roll here. Next up, Jeff.
Yes. What do we think? Florence Pugh.
Florence. I think she's had better moments. I don't know. Does she have kind of a hood over her
She
hair?
does. She's
Okay.
got the sort of
Mm-hmm.
Kylie Minogue can't get you out
Oh
of my
gosh.
head dress going on. Well, not like full, but the hooded dress.
Yeah,
That had its moment.
it did. It should have stayed in its moment, I feel like. I don't know. Because now you associate that hood with Kylie Minogue. Like you just said it
Yeah.
was the look.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Sorry
I'm
to
gonna go
this
about a
this
4
woman.
on this one.
I think even lower, Kelly.
Oh,
Like I
okay,
think
go.
it's
Fine, do
I
it.
think it was like a one or a two. It's really like again, we know that she can do some really exciting things, and her team
Oh,
usually
we know.
up to something interesting. And this is maybe not that. From my
This is not
perspective,
that.
from where I'm sitting, it's no Kiki Palmer, as it were. Okay,
Kiki
well,
was Kiki. She did it. All right, let's get into it, Jeff.
before we get to our interviews, as always, we've got top stories. Tell me a little bit about this one. This is something that you shot across my desk, and
I
I want to hear
did.
more.
All right, so the article is titled, I'm a celebrity hairstylist, and a trendy haircut is the biggest mistake you could make, and you won't look effortless. And it just really dawned on me because, when you get a new haircut, it's all effort.
Yes,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? It's like, shit, how am I going to recreate this? I mean, I'm leaving the salon feeling great, but then I'm like, I don't know. So I
So
thought it was interesting.
I saw a video recently. It might have been on TikTok, and it was essentially someone saying like when you do a big transformation with
Yeah.
your hair, you've got to really commit to big transformations elsewhere in terms of like
Oh.
your glam and styling. Like
Hmm.
you're not necessarily the same person as you were, and it can look weird if you just do exactly what you did prior to the transformation. So
Right.
I agree in principle with like maybe don't do a trend, but if you do then like really commit to it. Because I feel like some people look incredibly good with a trendy haircut when the
That's
trend
fair.
unlocks something for them. Like someone
Right.
who could like, for example, Emma Stone and the pixie cut.
Oh,
I would
yeah.
not have thought Emma Stone pixie cut,
Hmm.
but like, goddamn, she looks incredible. So, and maybe that'll be the impetus for someone else to get a pixie and also look incredible. So I don't know if I
I
agree
think,
entirely as I'm saying it out loud.
yeah. Oh, wow. There you are.
Yeah,
Okay. A tad combative today. I'm just kidding.
a little feisty.
But I think it's interesting too. You've got to, just because it looks good on Emma Stone doesn't mean it's going to look good on you with your face
This is
shape and all
true.
the different things.
This,
So
yes.
we love our pros because they're consulting, saying, no, 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 that's going to hit your jawline. It's going to extend whatever it's going to do.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
trends don't always mean good and better. You talk to your pro, and that's where you go.
Yes.
Oh, faux show.
All right.
Side note, I have somebody in my life that always says totes.
Hmm.
And that's kind of like faux show, don't you think?
A little.
Okay,
Totes.
moving on. We
Totes.
digress. All right, this week we're talking with Victoria Lynch. Victoria is the founder of Remi Cachet. Remi Cachet was born from Victoria's 30 plus years of experience in the hair industry with accessibility, quality, and sustainability in mind after discovering a gap in the marketplace for quality and integrity in proper care. Plus, high performing extensions. The brand is on a mission to empower hair extensionists and consumers with sustainable, valuable hair solutions that feel natural. With a self taught, determined mindset, Victoria continues to commit her knowledge and vast resources to drive and expand the extensions and hair care markets. We're going to get into it.
Exciting stuff. Before we get to this interview, which you're gonna want to stick around for, gotta ask you the question. Now that we're doing this in 2025, if she were a hairstyle, what would Victoria be?
You know what? I think that she could rival a Kiki Palmer look with those beautiful extensions and just the locks and the fullness. So I'm going to bring it right back to the top of this conversation. There you go.
Okay, it's your girl.
Make sure that you subscribe, rate, review, and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok at Read the Tease and send in questions to volumeup@thetease.com.
Now let's talk tease beauty news. First up, we've got over on the site what you don't expect from the hair world. So this is a contribution from Fiona Guzman. Really exciting stuff. We got a Q&A. So she writes, entering the world of hair is often through a lens of glamour. For most, it's a dream job, becoming a barber, specialized hairstylist, educator, or even a content creator. But what we often don't talk about are the things that no one prepares you for. Yes, there are moments of artistic fulfillment, but there are also times when you find yourself as an unlicensed therapist, dealing with relationships, navigating long hours, juggling apprenticeships, and investing in constant education. It's a journey filled with passion and growth, but let's be honest, some challenges might make you wonder, is it just me? To shed light on the ups and downs, some seasoned pros shared their experiences of what they didn't expect when they first entered into the world of hair. Head to thetease.com for their insights. Kelly, any gems that you plucked? I mean, there's quite a few people that have contributed to this, which is exciting.
Do you pluck gems? Side note. Anyway,
I don't know.
yes, there's so many good ones. I mean, I think a common theme was that the hair world is supporting each other. And I love that. And I think that's something that I've always noticed in the salon professional space, that pros will share a formula, they'll help. They're not gatekeeping, which I really, really love. And it's endearing. What about you?
So I'm gonna go the opposite direction because I felt
Oh,
like this one was really an interesting insight. So Matthew Williams, whom has been featured on thetease.com previously, said, and I quote, another thing I've observed is how highly favored men, gay men at that, are in such a female-dominated industry. For example, if I were to give a half-assed haircut, my client wouldn't blink twice to say her hair looks amazing and tip me 30%. Disappointedly, my female colleagues would get the short
what?
end of the stick, as I've
Hmm.
heard and seen some clients get upset to the extent of threatening the stylist with legal action or violence. Not
What?
necessarily an insight that you
Yeah.
would think would
No.
come up, and yet it is, the lived experience of Matthew. So I was like, oh damn, that one really stuck out to me. And
Yeah.
I'm curious if other people feel similar because there are a number of men within this industry that have been propped up. And anyway, food for thought.
Anyway, food for
Food for
thought.
thought.
All right, two different ends of the spectrum. All right, next up, the Professional Beauty Association just announced the 36th annual North American Hairstyling Awards finalists at Premier. NAHA, known as the quote Oscars of hair, is the most prestigious professional beauty competition in North America and honors the salon industry's top artists who push the boundaries of skill and creativity. The 2025 NAHA finalists represent the very best in the industry. These artists have defied expectations, creating collections that captivate and inspire. To win a coveted NAHA award, artists have to submit their collection in their choice of 14 categories, which include hair, makeup, and educational excellence. Development of these collections takes months of envisioning, planning, and shooting, and they're judged anonymously by a panel of esteemed experts in hairdressing and makeup artistry. The submissions are scored based on technical skill, cohesiveness, and creativity. Head to thetease.com for the complete list of NAHA 2025 finalists by category. Jeff, I mean, we're not hairdressers. We cannot win an AHA, but you know, if there was an award out there that you could win, what would you go for?
Oh, damn.
Uh-huh.
I mean, we've talked about this. It's a joke, but like the most iced coffee is consumed in a day or
Oh,
something.
yeah.
Like I mean, I
That's
feel like that's
right.
where I'm at. I don't. These really are such like important awards that I feel silly. Shout out to the everybody that's been nominated here as finalists. This is incredible. I would encourage you to go to thetease.com. Everybody is linked, so you can go and see
Yeah,
their
all of
work.
the
Painstakingly done. So shout out to our team for doing that, and shout out to PBA. We're so excited to be coming to NAHA this year
Yep.
at Premier Orlando in early June. So looking forward to seeing who wins. We've got some friendlies from the pod that are nominated, which is terribly exciting
Hell
for
yeah.
them. And maybe we'll talk to them on the journey towards maybe winning. We'll see.
Let's do it.
Thank you so much to our contributors and our editors for this week's beauty news. And don't forget to check out more stories like these over on thetease.com.
Now stay tuned for my interview with Victoria Lynch. Remi Cachet founder Victoria Lynch's career began with a passion for styling hair for friends and family at the age of 14. Her journey started as a young teenager with a small home salon where she spent afternoons doing hair post school. She had a 6 month waiting list at one time, all appointments taking place in a spare bedroom at her parents' home. As her passion evolved, Victoria spent years researching, learning, and experimenting with extensions, completing training courses in levels 1, 2, and 3 in hairdressing, and taking part in business courses at a local university. Shortly after 2003, Additional Links was born, a depiction of her drive and passion to change the hair extension industry. Years later, Remi Cachet launched in 2013 to offer high-quality hair care and extensions to the marketplace. Remi Cachet was born from Victoria's 30-plus years of experience in the hair industry with accessibility, quality, and sustainability in mind after discovering a gap in the marketplace for quality and integrity in proper care, plus high-performing extensions. She spent years growing her education in hairdressing fields and made it her life's mission to discover more efficient ways to install extensions, having access to a wide range of shades while upholding high standards and ethical sourcing practices. Remi Cachet is now an established, ever-growing business offering multi-award-winning professional quality hair extensions, accessories, styling tools, and aftercare products to service everything from the application to the ongoing aftercare and replacement. The brand is on a mission to empower hair extensionists and consumers with sustainable, valuable hair solutions that feel natural. With a self-taught, determined mindset, Victoria continues to commit her knowledge and vast resources to drive and expand the extensions and hair care market. Victoria, thank you so much for joining us today. We are so excited to chat with you in the next 30, 40 minutes. So we heard your bio at the top of the pod, but can you take us back to the beginning and what was it like running a home salon at the age of 14, which sounds crazy when I say it. Let's get into it.
Yeah, thinking back, it was a little crazy for its time because we're talking back in the very early 90s.
Okay.
And at the same time, I was still at school. So very much in that period of time, it was more casual, evenings, weekends, really getting into the passion side of what I was exploring with hair. So I was going to school, and then when I left school, I had a part-time job, went on to college to get my qualifications in hairdressing. That just all fed into everything that I was exploring and developing personally within the hair extension side of things, but really focused my time and energy into hair extensions as opposed to hairdressing. But many years later, I still went on and done further qualifications because I feel as though they both go hand in hand. That's just that knowledge base and experience to incorporate both sides of the industry.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, what was it about you at 14 that sort of struck this passion?
I got into it by chance. So I used to do a lot of braiding. I was doing perms and highlights with at the age of 13, and that's when perms were very big in them days, and highlights with the streaking cap. I don't think we even
Yeah.
used foils back in them
Right.
days. And I was just dabbling. I was very creative, and I just really enjoyed making things or doing things with my hands. I was very tangible and a kinesthetic learner as well. So I was more hands-on with everything that I'd done. And I feel as though from an academic side, I just preferred that physical element
Okay.
of results rather than the academic level. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
and I got the chance was that there was two young girls lived nearby. I used to braid their hair. One was West Indian, one was
Okay.
Nigerian, and I used to braid their hair. They were fostered, and I would braid their hair once every week. And then when I started introducing hair extensions to their braids, they'd get
Uh,
months out of them, and it just really spun from there at a very young age. And I moved into so I'd done synthetic hair extensions for a number of years. And then when I was 18, I moved into human hair extensions then and started exploring different attachments, being creative with how you could attach them, because there wasn't really, there was no extension market back them days. Certainly not on the global level that we know them today. So it was
yeah.
very much initial introductions to hair back then, and not a method or service that people really tapped into.
Yeah.
It was seen as that celebrity style luxury service to create what people could with hair extensions. They were very much taboo. Um,
Okay.
and people didn't really invest in them. They were seen as a luxury item and service back then.
So where did you source the extensions from? If, you know, it was new, right? And it was kind of the
Mm.
uncharted waters. Like, what was that moment where you're like, I'm going to go out and find this and figure this out?
I used a brand in the UK, that was an international brand
Okay.
that started with the synthetic hair, and they sold a little bit of human hair, but not a lot because they really catered to the Black community,
Okay.
especially with the synthetic ranges. And I felt as though my needs and requirements as I developed as an individual, and I'd been providing extensions for 11 years at that point as a service, there wasn't a lot there for me to tap into to
Okay.
provide a wider clientele with what their needs were. And after 11 years of doing hair in a home salon, people were asking me at that point, as they were starting to evolve and become more known, can you teach me? I want to learn how to do it.
Okay.
And I thought to myself, oh, hang on a minute. Do I want to be stood here for another 11 years with some competition? Let me stay one head of them and they will become
Mm,
my customer instead of my competition.
yeah.
So back then, in the very early 2000s, we never had the internet in the same capacity. We didn't
Hmm.
have social media. It was a case of me then identifying from a creative point what I felt as though I could give to clients that I know I couldn't tap into and purchase. And it was that's where I then decided to create my own brand, my own product range, and sell this on to customers as they were growing and exploring the extension space.
Okay. So that was 2003, right? You built the brand Additional Links. And,
Mm.
you know, that was the gap in the marketplace that you were trying to fill, right? You were
Yeah,
there.
absolutely. Yeah. And in the UK, when I started Additional Lengths, 1 year into that, we were the first company in the UK to sell an eye tip
Ah,
product. So even
got
I
it.
think from a creative point and working with hair, you just know what is workable, what
Mm-hmm.
people would tap into, the USPs of individual products as well. And especially when people were used to human hair being either weaved in or glued in, this was a
Yeah.
whole new concept that avoided both of those. So we were the first to do that still.
Wow.
But the industry was very different, and Additional Lengths was set up to target the consumer as well as the stylist, because
Okay.
we wanted to get them into the consumer's hands and hair really via the
Yeah.
stylist. So the concept and direction of the business was very, very different to the Remi Cachet side of things.
So tell me how you launched that. You know, you're saying it's different. You were trying to reach the consumer and the stylist. What was your approach from a brand building perspective?
Well, like I say, we didn't have the internet in the same
Yeah.
capacity that we did. We didn't have social media. Everybody has that at the fingertips now. So it's far easier now to do that, and
Hmm.
why
For
we
sure.
see growth in businesses much quicker than we did back then. I had to go to a local library to get our yellow pages. I went through all of the paid advertisement boxes, and I physically printed and wrote and
Wow.
sent pit mailers to all of these salons to say that I could provide these products.
Wow.
And basically, that's how we had to reach out. It was all printed advertisements. There was no digital
Hmm.
advertising back then in the way that we know it today. So it was very hands on. It was very difficult. And building that brand awareness was more challenging back then, now on
Yeah.
reflection, to anything that we can tap into nowadays.
Right. And talk to me about the product line then. So, how did that evolve from 2003 to then you launch Remi Cachet in 2013? Talk to me about that evolution and the launch.
Mhm. Initially, I launched with weave extensions because
Okay.
that was what was popular through both the Black community and obviously people trying with different various applications, but also we could cut the hair and make it bulk, so we could bond them
Ah,
in with a glue gun and things like that using the right adhesives. So we could customize weave extensions in a couple of ways. Then we moved on to the ring attachments. There was also the pre-bonded methods really starting to generate there from a popularity point. Um, and the difference with, sorry, I launched clip-ins as well. So I catered
okay.
to sort of more still the consumer need with additional lengths. But because over the 10 year that I'd had additional lengths before I started Remi Cachet, it had evolved in a way where people knew that it did speak to that consumer audience and
Okay.
didn't necessarily speak so much to the trade professional in a way that it could. but it built up brand awareness as a consumer brand that was more of a budget range. So I
Okay.
think to elevate that and change it to speak to a trade professional would have been more challenging. So this is where, okay, how do I then pivot there and
Yeah.
pivot a new brand on the block, create something that speaks directly to that trade professional,
Okay.
taps into all of those high quality touch points and really delivers to that trade industry, because I think a trade professional is going to be more of a loyal customer than a consumer. And when you deliver a product to them that satisfies their needs and keeps bums on seats in their salons, they're going to return and buy from you consistently, whereas a consumer actually doesn't. So that was where I differentiated the both brands.
Okay.
Then additional lengths became a storefront and a hub for all things hair and hair extensions to the consumer, that then could house third-party brands and grow that
Ah,
reputation as a storefront.
okay.
Still having its own brand there alongside Remi Cachet and other world global brands as well from a hair care point of view.
Wonderful. Yeah, it makes sense for certainly. Now you've got the storefront and you've got the own brand. Talk to me about the whole line with Remi Cachet. Like who are you from like an international perspective catering to, and what differentiates the brand?
Well, as a hair professional myself, one thing that I've always put first and foremost is product and customer.
Okay.
Is knowing what your audience needs before they know they need it. And I think that's the benefit of me working with hair, that creative aspect, and looking at creating various products and color groups, and just that whole development of a product and insight into the industry that not a lot of businesses do initially, if they are just founded entrepreneurs but not necessarily from the industry themselves.
Yeah, true.
And I feel as though that's really where I directed Remi Cachet from its startup, talking on quality, not compromising in any way on the quality. Globally, we have the highest investment in the raw material because we never compromise the quality in any way. And I think it's got to constantly show up and deliver to its audience and its customer base. And I think putting those two key features first over anything is probably where a lot of the success has come from, and the loyalty that we've generated from our customer base too.
Got it. So, what are you mentioned high quality, we're not compromising. What are some of the challenges in sourcing high quality, ethically made hair? Because I can imagine there's a few.
There is, first of all, you've got to know and understand the process and the
Yeah.
raw material sourcing and everything like that, and having and dictating exactly what you want, working very closely with manufacturers. Now we're in a very different space where there's a lot of people online pretending to be manufacturers, but they're actually
Uh,
not. The middlemen, the agents, the selling
uh,
the buying in, and there's no control element there in terms of what you're getting. The other thing, as the industry has evolved, it then comes down to price, because demand outweighs supply, and then it's who's willing to pay the top price.
mm,
Then secondary to that is about specification. So it's what you're detailing, your specification in your product. And some people advertise hair as being 100% human hair, but it may be actually mixed elements, because
ooh,
I'm not sure where globally, but you can actually pass off certain things if there's a
wow.
mixture as 100%, and it may not actually be true. Then there's also down to the short hair, long hair ratio.
Okay.
So if you mix a lot of short hairs in your bundle, then it's cheaper to produce.
Wow.
Um, we now source and extract hair from donors that we buy hair from, that we take the longer hairs from there to sort of balance out that short hair ratio. But equally, you need a natural graduation of hair growth, because you want
Yeah.
something to mimic exactly how it would replicate in somebody's natural flowing long gorgeous locks, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
So everything is about tailoring that specification from the very source and point right through to production. And it's the consistency. The consistency is
Yeah.
key. And what a lot of people make the mistake of is if you wear a weft of hair or a weave of hair for 1 year and then you replace it with another weave, it's not a man-made product. It's so unique. It comes from different donors every time. And the thing with Remi Cachet, at each one of our ranges, that hair has got to meet a minimum specification to go
Okay.
into each range. And every bundle is unique, like a fingerprint. It's its own DNA.
Yeah.
So nothing will ever be the same. It's just that bandwidth of specification to sort of tee
Okay.
you up in terms of the quality.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. First of all, I mean, ethically sourced, huge, right? And the different lengths you're mentioning, and then the mixture. I mean, all that's kind of cringe, isn't it?
It is, because there's some brands out there across the world that will say, "Oh, we've texturized this hair for you. We've done the cutting work for you." And really, they haven't. They're selling you single drawn hair, so they're not actually selling you full ratio. So they're presenting it in a way and market it in a way to make maybe as an upcoming hair professional that doesn't really know the terminology. They're being manipulated from a marketing point to sort of understand that they're getting the hair pre-cut when really it's just a natural drawn ratio. There's no pre-cut about it. It's just got shorter hair in there that's giving you a narrower tip, and it hasn't got that full density root to tip.
Okay, so when you say shorter hair, we're talking about a weft, right? And some of it
Mhm.
is the long. How short do they put that in the bundles to make it cheaper, more cost effective? Like short, like inches?
Some bundles, if we say, for
Wow.
example, a 20-inch
Yeah.
hair weft, the Remi Cachet range has a 50-50 ratio, meaning that the short hairs don't actually start till the bottom 50% of any hair length.
Oh,
And
okay.
that's where the natural graduation of hair growth actually
Yeah.
would naturally fall. Then
Hmm.
we have a range in our mid-range which starts at 35%, and obviously that's a little bit cheaper.
I see.
Processing, origin, and everything is a little bit cheaper, but it's a talking point to somebody maybe who's on a lower budget but
Okay.
equally wants great quality. And for some brands specifically, the short hair might start from as little as 6 inches down in the weft. And then you're getting loads
Ooh.
of flyaways, you're getting loads of
Yeah.
split ends, you're not really getting that
Wow.
consistency and density. So there's all of those factors that people wouldn't even
No.
think of behind the scenes in terms of the production.
So if we have stylists listening, they're not in the extension market, but they're like, I want to start. What do you look for on the packaging to understand that that ratio is proper? I mean, what are the claims? Like how do you market Remi Cachet?
It's not necessarily so much the packaging, because now
Okay.
we're living in a digital world and everybody
Yeah.
wants to see the
Fair.
information before they see the product. So it's about sharing that insight across the product descriptions, being quite transparent and honest into the various ranges that we offer and what the difference is between those
Okay.
ranges. So it's just offering transparency there. Um, but sadly, packaging, anyone can put any type of description on the packaging.
Yeah.
It's who's holding them accountable for what that says, really. And I think us as a brand, working very closely with the industry, and me always putting myself in their shoes and the
Mhm.
customer's shoes, and it's, how would I want to be serviced?
Right.
How do I want a brand to show up for me and my needs? And it's like building that trust and reputation that
Yep.
doesn't happen overnight. And some of your biggest advocates are the trade professionals that are actually
Yeah.
using your products and shouting about them, that they're buying the products, and you don't even have to pay them to express how they
Yeah.
feel, because they're buying them and they're saying it anyway. And these are the biggest influencers and advocates to any brand. It's not the people you're paying to say that. And that's one thing we don't do as a brand. Um, and we've never have to date. I'm not saying like we're not exploring opportunities in a way, because we want to sort of pivot into the next chapter of what we're doing with Remi Cachet. But I'm quite proud to say that up until this day, the brand has been built on its own reputation, its own merits, because it's truly delivered everything we said we were going to deliver. And we've never
Fair.
had to manipulate our audience. We've never had to pay somebody to say that the product they're advertising is the best because they're being paid for it. And that's where
Mm.
people are getting savvy with what they're actually listening
Yeah.
to and hearing, whether it's on social media or whether it's online or whether it's YouTube, in any capacity anywhere. And I think
Absolutely.
that's where I'm quite proud to say that it's built its reputation and respect on its own
Yeah.
merits and not on anybody else's.
Yeah, I love that. Where do you see the future of hair extensions evolving in terms of technology, accessibility?
It can evolve in so many ways. I mean,
Okay.
it's a case of thinking from an application point, but I definitely think from a stylist, there's so many salons and professional stylists that are so busy doing cuts, colours, and other services in a busy environment that
Okay.
they're probably not thinking about hair
Right.
extensions in a way that could really tailor and focus on their clients. Because I actually see it evolving where a big thing for us in the UK is we have stylists now that have moved away from hairdressing purely just
Mm-hmm.
to focus on hair extensions.
Mm-hmm.
And there's such a big market there that haven't even tapped into hair extensions. But for me, with people wanting to change their appearance so frequently, and then going from the black hair to the blonde hair, and it's just unachievable without loads of processing and damage
Yeah.
and time and investment into that service. It's much quicker now to transition somebody's hair color with extensions
Mm-hmm.
without even putting a chemical on their hair.
Yeah.
One, with the right application, right education, and a healthy application to the client, you can do that without any damage whatsoever, because there's still a little bit of taboo there that extensions damage your hair, and they absolutely don't damage your hair if the right method is being chosen
Yeah.
for you and you're using a professional stylist that really understands the hair health and science and the best thing for your hair as a client as well, because it's not one method fits all.
Right.
The other way it needs to evolve in the industry is if you're using a brand that only offers you one or two methods, you're using the wrong brand, because your
Ah.
client just doesn't really need your bulk of client will need various methods to suit their
Mm.
own needs and requirements. And that can be down to because they might be going through menopause, for example, they might be having natural thinning hair, they might be on medication, they might be suffering from some certain types of hair loss. First of all, extensions are not suitable for hair loss sufferers in any capacity because it can accelerate hair loss. And people new to the industry think, yeah, it's fine. Hair loss is fine. We can fit you with extensions, and that can actually make things worse. So it's really knowing the difference between your hair growth, your cycles, and understanding your clientele in a way that you're not going to offer them something that can cause more damage,
Right.
but be honest and say, well, actually, I'm going to make the decision and say that's actually the wrong
Yeah.
move for you specifically. But because Remi Cachet, we've evolved in a way where we offer one of the biggest or are the biggest product offering from a method point of view, with different product applications, different product types and specifications, weights that actually can cater to people with
Hmm.
less hair or people that are experienced that natural stage of hair changes with age, for example. We can cater to absolutely everybody's needs. And I think it's then down to the user to make sure that they're tapping into a brand and using a brand that can really deliver for them and their clientele again. So I think it's understanding what you can purchase from us as well that can cater to your needs.
Talk to me about how the brand educates and really empowers stylists to make sure that they're using your product, it's the best service, they aren't doing things like damaging hair, they
Mm.
can educate their clients. Talk to me about that.
Well, we are big on education, and in the UK, it's very different to the US. You need a cosmetology license here, and everybody goes through that cosmetology school to get their credentials for the hairdressing side of things. In the UK, some people go straight into extensions
Hmm.
without doing any types of hairdressing qualifications at
Oh,
all.
wow. I didn't
Now
know that. Hmm.
we as a brand don't educate anybody that doesn't have a minimum level 2 in hairdressing. It's like a national vocational qualification in the
Okay.
UK. So we don't deliver education to people that don't have that.
Mm.
Whilst we have people that have built up the knowledge and experience that purchase from us that maybe don't have that, you can only get a trade account with Remi Cachet if you tick so many boxes. So we just don't sell
Ah,
to anybody.
okay.
And we absolutely could sell to absolutely anybody via the brand, but we don't. We really tailor it, and there's credentials that you have to um, hit and reach to actually get a trade account with us. But from an
Okay.
education piece, we're very thorough. We do a 2 full-on day course. We don't do more than one method in a day. And
Okay.
people nowadays go online and watch a video and think they're qualified. Oh, I can do that. And that
Yikes.
doesn't really happen. Even, let's be honest, even if you are a hair professional and you go onto a course in any capacity, that doesn't mean to say you're qualified just because you've gone onto a course. That
Right.
qualification is supported by that long-term knowledge and experience that you just build and build over time to really feel that you are hitting that criteria as a qualified professional, very much like you do with the hairdressing course. You don't do one
Yeah.
color and you don't become qualified
Oh,
in one go
no.
through college. You have to do multiple clientele time after time to build that, to then be passed off as
Yeah.
that qualification. So that's very much how we work as well, as a brand in terms of our education delivery.
Wonderful. So you recently announced in January that you have a new CEO taking over. How has this
Yeah.
process been?
The process, I was very much looking forward to it, and I think it's a very big move for a
Mhm.
founder after, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
over 20 years running my business at the head of it and growing it to where we were, but being knee deep into all the detail as well. And I'd got the business to a point where there's still so much globally we can do, and there's so many areas that I want to focus my time and attention on, but still
Okay.
immersing myself down in the areas of the business where I add value. And the only way to do that is to free up myself to do that. And it's like
Yeah.
I had to come to the realization that I needed another me.
Yeah.
And we all need other me's in some capacity. And I'd said it for years, but not in a way where it was at sort of a CEO level. So it was a big process, and the
Yep.
challenging thing was finding the right person, because it's all about the chemistry. It's
Yeah.
all about them knowing the business or the sector and the industry, as well as the customer base that they're going to come in and sort of manage and lead. So I mean, now I feel like I've been split in two, and I've been so lucky to find a lady that's joined us that was from the hair industry, has circled back to the hair, and really understands me and the chemistry between us. I feel like I've been split in two, and I can focus across the
That's
areas of
great.
the business. And it's amazing to even say that I done that process over 6 months. It was
Wow.
the
Yeah.
thought was there for 6 months prior, but the whole process to find and recruit and get somebody over the line for that role took 6 months. And in some cases, that's unheard of, even to do that in that space of time. But timing is everything, and they say you cross paths with people at the right time.
Yeah.
What's meant for you doesn't go past you.
That's amazing. Congrats, because I can imagine, as mentioned, it's your baby, right? And how do you
Mm.
relinquish some of those roles and responsibilities and trust someone, right?
Yeah, it's a big thing of trust. And you've got to. And in order to grow, whether it's professional or personally, you have to explore expansion in some way, and you have to let go of some of those reins in some capacity. And if you don't, you're always going to hit that personal ceiling, because there's only so many hours in the day and so many days in the week and so much you want to do. I'm still fueled by so much that I want to do and I know that we can achieve. And I think as a brand and as a business, even though we've got all this phenomenal success and we are as big as I still see it as we're only just jumping off the ground. We haven't even
Wow.
reached the ceiling. And I feel this is like sort of given me, after over, well, 33 year in hair, 34 year in hair altogether, and 22 year as the business. I feel as though it's given me a new lease of life and a new direction to focus on that next chapter
Yeah.
for what we're doing, and allowing me to be wherever the business needs me to be, both mentally and emotionally and physically as well.
That's wonderful. Congrats again. Okay, I know
Thank
you're
you.
starting to debut more in the US. How has that
Mm.
process been, moving the brand over to the US? What are you excited about for that launch?
I'm more excited, I'll be honest, because I've known the US space for some time, and
Okay.
we've been here softly over a
Okay.
space of time, but we're only really targeting it in a way that head on now, in a way that we are. with now I've got an expanded workforce and all of the marketing and PR things, really ramping it up behind the scenes in terms of what we're doing. But knowing the US space as well, and knowing the industry and knowing the products and knowing the competition, I can honestly say I have very much confidence in we are going to service a trade professional industry that is being underserviced in the US. And I can say that
Okay.
because of how our trade professionals treat us and look at us in the UK with that level of respect and recognition. Because for me, I see it as a copy and paste. I've
Okay.
got such a strong foundation for the brand in the UK. It's implementing that and pitching it somewhere to sort of show up for an audience that have obviously brands and products at the fingertips, but not really servicing them in the same way, because
Okay.
there's business and then there's the professional business, and we are a brand by professionals for professionals. And I think that's really what sets us out in the crowd, because it's a condensed area now from a supply point
Yeah.
of view. And trying something new and really tailoring what we do and showing up and as that new brand on the block in the US,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
giving people something different. We dare to be different. We don't see competition as competition. We stay in our own lane. We do what we need to do. We focus our time, energy, and attention on what we're doing to really service that trade professional. So that's exactly what we're going to do here.
Wonderful. I know there's a rebrand in the works. Is that true?
Yes, we've just launched our rebrand. So we've launched our new color palette. We've
Okay.
launched a new logo. It's actually, I think this is this is the third logo since I started Remi Cachet. So
Wow.
in
Okay.
12 year, this
Mhm.
is a new evolution. And in order to grow, you need to evolve. You
Yep.
can't stay still. Things are so fast paced now. You stay still. If a new brand on the block comes along, they're going to get the attention.
Yep.
So it's how you're constantly adapting your business in a way that keeps eyes and attention on you as well. And I feel as though what we've done now with the rebrand is we've elevated the color palette to be more
Yep.
mature. We've changed the logo to be more current as well. And we're doing so much work behind the scenes. We're in a bit of it, whilst we've launched it, we're still in a bit of a transition period with some of the elements down to packaging. I mean, if you've seen the footage of our distribution center, we've got hundreds of thousands of packets that we carefully need to transition, because we're very, very big on wastage and sustainability.
Yep.
We're not just going to go and change everything. That we don't have the manual capacity to do everything. So there's a transition there. And everything is an elevation, because now we see it, and the way that the industry from an extension point is expanded, it isn't tailored to a certain age group. We wanted to move away from the pinks and whites that were very, I wouldn't say immature, but sort of spoke to more the younger audience when
Sure.
pink blew up and everyone wanted everything to be pink. And it's like, we want to showcase a new color palette that speaks to anyone of any age group, because you've got younger generation now that are really looking into that side of things and looking at the eco and the sustainability and the recycle. And
Yep.
we're all about get the most out of your products. And this is where back to the products and the recycle is, we don't want to push you to buy a product every 5 months. We want you to get your maintenance, get your removal and reapplication of the same product time and time again, because we want you to feel as though you've got a return on your investment with
Yeah.
what you're buying as well. So whilst we could sell twofold of what we do, the salons aren't losing out, because the trade professional is still offering that maintenance service, so they're not losing any money. They just
Right.
don't, there's no need to rebuy and repurpose that, because they're repurposing the product from a fit-in. And all this really speaks into our brand evolution, because we say we were doing so well in that area, but we weren't showing up like visibly
Okay.
in a way that we wanted to. So we're just bringing all that in alignment now in terms of how we show up as a brand, and what everybody sees as that when they visit and land on us, it's like, how do they see us and how are we represented in that space visually?
Love that. Where can our US audience find Remi Cachet?
You can only find Remi Cachet at remicachet.com. We are
Okay.
direct to the
Okay.
US, and we can get it to the East Coast next day. We could get it to the West Coast within 2 days. There's a lot of work and strategy going on behind the scenes in terms of how we do evolve and adapt that over the next couple of years. But with anything, it's steps and it's a process, and it's just tailoring and getting things right to probably be more present here as well on the ground. So that's all in process now. But I mean, everybody has everything at the fingertips now. You can be anywhere in the world and you could tap into anything that you need. And I think the biggest thing is going to be that communication. It's them seeing us online in any capacity, whether that's social. Our website, direct website, is remicachet.com. It's a lockdown site. You have to apply to get access. You have to prove your credentials. You get obviously a locked-in trade price. So if you see distribution anywhere, or the prices obviously are not reflected in the same way that they are to a trade professional as well.
Wonderful. This was fascinating. I learned so much. Thank you so much. I want to move on to a section we have that's called the Tease Quick Takes. And if you're ready, I'm going to fire a couple questions at you.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go.
Okay. What's the craziest styling request that you've ever received from a client? They sat down in your chair and they're like, I want fill in the blank.
Oh, that's a tough one.
Any major transformations?
I mean, I do obviously, as a hair loss specialist as well for 20 years. I do work in our salon 1 day a month. So as much as I'm still this big business owner, I do hair replacement once a month, and it's been a long time since I've done general hair extension clients, but I do them obviously through education and things like that, or when we are evolving in new products and methods. But I think going back historically, when bit hard on the eyes is probably when someone's got jet black hair, but they want the lightest blonde possible streaks.
Oh.
It's not a favorite of mine. It's not a good look. And for me, I'm all about that. It's got to look realistic. I want somebody to wear extensions and somebody not even know they're wearing extensions.
Right. Absolutely.
And that just speaks as though the hair's false. Let's not be false. We're not a false business. We're not a false brand. Everything is about that natural aesthetic. But anything goes, I suppose. Yeah, I think personally, that's probably one of my, I wouldn't say it's crazy, but it's not something I would have chosen.
Okay.
And I think for some stylists, it's not something they'd be proud to put the name to, because you'd walk out like, oh, my eyes are bleeding. Yeah, but that's what
great.
I can only think
Yeah,
of.
it's no false hair.
No false hair, everything natural. Yeah.
All right, what's your go-to song or playlist when you're working? You're like in the zone.
I don't listen to anything when I'm working, unfortunately, because I am literally either so busy and so focused. I don't like the distraction.
Okay.
But I do love music. And when I leave the house, I do the school run on the way to work on a morning. I have my music blasting and I'm in the car on my own and I'm singing, because I feel as though that sets you up for the day. And I have certain songs, I'll just have my Spotify on, and I'll tend to listen to the same songs that really sort of give me that energy to sort of show up and just, I'm 100 miles an hour. Anyone who knows me, I'm 100 miles an hour. And I love my energy levels. And I really think that music sets me up for the day there. So music, going to work and coming home, the genre or the style of music might differ depending on the time of the day, but very definitely energized on a morning to get me going.
Love it. What is one bucket list item that you want to check off in the next 6 months?
Never thought about that one.
Maybe it's that US launch.
It is. Well, let's say it is that. If my bucket list item is, I want a good percentage of the US trade professional to know who I am.
Okay.
I know what I've done for the industry. There's so many people, obviously here, not a lot of people know who I am, other than if you're using our brand already. But there's so much that I've actually done for the industry. They probably don't know they're using information that I actually initiated and started, that they're sharing. And and it's just been there at the forefront. So you could say ahead of the curve in some respects, or
Sure,
even
sure.
down to certain products and product developments and things for the industry that have evolved. I was at the
You were
head of
there.
most of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So for them to sort of recognize that, I think probably it's more of the recognition piece
Okay.
is, okay, this isn't just a new person saying that they're doing all this, that, and the other.
Right.
This is a seasoned, experienced hair extension professional that knows her stuff. And I think sort of then showing up and building that awareness for me as well as the brand in this space is probably going to be one of my go-to bucket list. If it's not 6 months, let it be 12, but
All
I
right.
think that's pushing it out a little bit.
I love it. This was so fun. Again, you're a wealth of knowledge. Thank you so much. Congrats on your success and for all that you've
Thank you
done
so
with the
much.
industry.
Oh, thank you. And it's been a pleasure and great speaking to you too.
Thank you. Jeff, can you imagine like having a booking out however many days when you're 14 out of your home salon? I
Wow.
mean, I have a 14-year-old and I just can't see it from the trees over here.
Put him to work. Maybe he could
I know.
inherit this.
Hey,
Why? Mm,
indeed.
mm.
You know what? Send that kid to barbering school. Be sure to hit subscribe, rate, and review, and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok at Read the Tease, and send in questions to volumeup@thetease.com.
Volume Up is a Tease Media production. This episode was produced by Monica Hickey and Madeline Hickey. James Abraje is our editor and audio engineer. Thank you to our creative team for the custom Volume Up theme song and for putting together the graphics and videos for this episode.